Hey guys, today we are doing something I'd like to continue and take questions from you guys. I'm curious to hear what you want me to talk about in some of these videos. So if you have suggestions, leave a comment below and I'll try to get to them. I'll be honest, this question I'm answering is from a long time ago, but this one was one that Cody gave to me. So I'm sorry it took me this long to get to it. But the question was diving into why does CrossFit work? Now, I think that Cody was looking for a physiological, anatomical explanation of why CrossFit works, and I'll get to that a little more in a different video, but I wanted to start with this pretty basic one because there are a couple different models that explain why CrossFit's an effective training method. This one is called the hopper model. So a hopper, if you're not familiar with what that is, if you've ever been to bingo, that barrel that they're turning and pulling the balls out of, that's the hopper. For our purposes, instead of B9 or N36 coming out, it's going to be squat, clean, row, push press exercises. So no matter what comes out of that hopper, would we be proficient in performing that movement? And that's kind of how we're measuring fitness, our ability to do things, our work capacity, and the greater number of things you are proficient at, the greater your fitness is. So the classic model of explaining this, comparing a CrossFitter to someone who has a more specialized approach to fitness, is to take an Olympic lifter, a CrossFitter, and a marathon runner. If we pull a 1 rep max snatch out of that hopper, we know how that's going to pan out. If we pull a marathon out of that hopper, we know how that's going to pan out. If we continue down the list, pulling out more and more exercises, as we get to 20, 30 different exercises, statistically, which one of those three people will be the best performer? Which one will be the fittest? Really likely, it's going to be the CrossFitter because of the varied approach to everything. So this is one way that CrossFit works in comparison to other approaches to fitness because it is so varied. It's going to improve your work capacity over a multitude of different movements and types of workouts. Another reason that it works for advancing your specific fitness is because with this hopper model, with this varied approach, there's nowhere for weaknesses to hide. Not only will you be forced to work on movements that maybe are not your favorite, and if you were given the choice, you would choose not to work on, but there's so much carryover from the technique and from the positions in movement to movement, you're going to get better at the things that you don't enjoy doing as much, even without doing them. So an example maybe we don't think about is one thing that we're always encouraging or looking for when you're doing pull-ups. We want to make sure you reach a full lockout at the bottom, right? We want to get that arm completely straight. Really good at improving your ability to do pull-ups, but it's also improving our overhead position. So maybe you struggle with locking out strict presses, push presses, split jerks, all that kind of stuff. The more we can encourage a good finishing position in a pull-up, the more we're working on that mobility. So a lot of you who've done CrossFit for 6 months or more have likely had this experience where you see a movement in a workout that you haven't done for a few weeks or even a couple months, and then somehow you're better at it. It's because of that carryover. It's because of that hopper model approach to programming that you're going to be getting continually better at things even without practicing them. So this is a bit of an explanation of why CrossFit is so effective. It's also a bit of a plea to enjoy some of the movements that you don't want to do as much because it's going to help you with some of the goals that you really care about. Like, yeah, maybe you really want that overhead press to get better. Well, make sure we finish those pull-ups, right? Same thing can be said for a lot of other movements, but find a little joy in some of the movements that are challenging. The ones that are challenging are the movements where you have the most to gain too. So use that as a motivator if you need. But this is one explanation. Again, if you have other suggestions of things you want me to talk about or explain, drop them in the comments and I'll get to it. This time a little quicker, I promise.